All right, folks, it's Ryan Bridge, BugMan. What we're looking at today, we're looking at the starter equipment that you can expect that kids or folks who are just starting out in entomology, insect collecting, we're looking at the things that they're going to need. The first thing that's probably the most obvious is a net. Now, Donovan's net is about classic here. It's a homemade net. It looks like it's probably made with a broom handle, maybe even a dowel bought at a hardware store. A cool little metal cap that they fashioned over it, which is really cool. And all this wire ring this is an old coat hanger that was used. Obviously, he has somebody with some skills who was able to sew him up a net, which is awesome. This is soft material, probably curtain material of some sort. Perfect starter net, very lightweight. Donovan can lug this around all day long, and there's never going to be a problem with that getting in his way or getting too heavy for him. Now, another essential is a pack. You have to have an ability to carry all your stuff. Now, unfortunately, for entomology, part of entomology is killing insects. So not only are we going to be catching them in nets, we're going to be using killing jars in order to dispatch things and get them dead enough that we can now use them into collections. This is a classic starter killing jar. Plaster of Paris bottom. And Donovan was cool enough, he used this neat little medicine bottle attached to the top, probably with some hot glue or maybe even some super glue, Gorilla Glue. And in doing so, he can now put his killing solution in there. The killing solution is probably going to turn out to be rubbing alcohol or maybe nail polish remover. He can stick that on there. It is vented, and that way the insects that are put in here are going to die as quickly as possible. This is probably one of the more confusing aspects that starter folks deal with, and that's because once your insects are dead, you have to figure out what you're going to do with them. We have these cool little stamp collecting envelopes, and you can buy these commercially from various sources, but the dead insects are going to come out of the kill jar and go into the envelope. Therefore, you now have them protected. You don't want to leave them in the kill jars for very long. They're going to get wet. They might get moldy. Lots of bad things can happen in those killing jars if you leave the insects in. The nice thing about these paper envelopes is they also will keep the insects from getting moldy, and that is critical. You want your bugs to be in good condition. Woo! All right, let's take it up a step. All right, we're going to take it to someone who's a little more experienced. Earlier, we were looking, talking to Donovan, we were looking at his stuff, and that's a very starter, very first year kind of entomologies. We're now here with Braden, and Braden has stepped up his game a little bit. Braden has taken his homemade net. You notice it's a lot longer. It allows him to flip and hold the insects better. He's also used a much softer material. That's all classic next phase stuff. Braden has also gone to a much stronger net ring. That enables him to sweep through brush, get through those briars, and get to the insects a little bit easier. Great insect net. It's a homemade net. Piece of PVC and a dowel and a piece of hard wire is going to get the job done. Affordable, and best of all, awesome. Stepping up the killing jar. Braden has now moved to plastic. Plastic is big time critical in my opinion, because if you drop it, it's not going to break. Braden is also cool enough that he's still using the plaster of Paris. That plaster of Paris is going to absorb the rubbing alcohol or the nail polish remover if that's what he's using. You can also put a piece of cloth in here, and that will also absorb and give the insect something to grab onto. That way the insects aren't just rolling around and getting all beat up in there. I like to put some cloth in my kill jars. Very, very classic, perfect killing jar in my opinion. So job well done. Braden's carrying the envelopes. Of course, those folks who understand how these work, when your insects are dead, you bring them out of the kill jar and into envelopes. That's going to keep them protected all the same. The last thing, and this is where Braden stepped up his game. This is perfect. he has a notepad. And the notepad is essential because guess what? If you're collecting, you need to know what you're collecting. You need to know where you're at. You need to know that information, the date, the county. And that way you can simply take this information, put it with your insects, and now you have a record of everywhere you've been and where these insects were collected. All right, hey folks, it's Ryan Bridge of BugMan. I want to talk to you today about the equipment and some of the essentials that you're going to want to take, and probably a lot of things that people don't really plug into either because they don't feel they need them or just because they haven't been in that environment yet or in that area where they might. The first and foremost, one of the biggest, easiest things to think, look, you're going to need a place to put all your stuff. I like a big go box that I can put all the stuff I need for collecting or for just reconning an area. Everything I need is going to be in one place. If I do a real quick, impulsive, got to get up and go, I grab this box, put it in the back of the truck, and I go. I know everything I need is going to be in this box. Let's get into something a little more personal. If you're going in for collecting insects, you got to figure out how to pack all your stuff in. And whether you're using something like a higher end pack, weatherproof, waterproof, rainproof, that's going to protect your stuff. Not a bad idea. Have that stuff with you. You can even use a day pack or a backpack, if you will. That's going to be for longer all day get together. When you're in there and you're a little more remote, you can take water, you can take food, whatever you need in, you can have it there with you. Me, I prefer to keep things a little smaller, a little closer, a little more personal. I prefer just the standard fanny pack. And these are still used and they're still good to have. Inside my pack, I'm going to run with a kill jar. The kill jar is not a jar in our sense. I like plastic. If I drop this, it's not going to break. And I've been known to break a few glass kill jars over the years. Inside the kill jar, I'm going to use a piece of cloth. That cloth is going to give the insects that I place in there something to hold on to, something to hang on to. Because look, man, once it's back in there and I'm running around and jaunting around after insects and bugs, they're going to get kicked around in there pretty good. I don't want them getting broken up. I don't want them getting damaged. On the cloth, I can then put what is probably going to be some ethyl acetate or most likely some isopropyl alcohol. A lot of the universities, a lot of the professional entomologists are using ethyl acetate. It's not a bad idea, just not my thing. It's good and it kills all the same. I like good old isopropyl rubbing alcohol. This is just real easy to find. Everywhere I've been in this country, I can find this. And even a few foreign countries, I could still buy this stuff. Very easy, very affordable, and you just put a little bit in the kill jar and you're ready to go. Very simple stuff. Another upgrade that you can always make would be to go to a kill jar. This is a better kill jar. Guess what? It's a glass kill jar, and it's glass because professionals must enjoy breaking stuff. Outside of that, look, these are great because you can put your kill agent in this little subcompartment up here. That keeps the insects from coming in direct contact with it. That's good. I've had problems with greasing. I've had problems with even a rubbing alcohol will sometimes mess up and mangle up some bugs until it evaporates out. So it's nice to have that type of system in your kill jar. You can get these kill jars available commercially, all different price ranges, all different sizes. They all kind of work the same, and it is still a very good system. Next, we're going to talk about this. This is the can that's going to hold the envelopes. It's also going to hold the insects that are inside those envelopes. It protects them. Now, this is an old meal kit can. They pick these up at the Army surplus stores. Simple, affordable, and they work great. What I do is I keep envelopes in. Those insects that I kill are going to go into these envelopes. These envelopes are just simple paper envelopes. Same thing stamp collectors are going to use. They're porous. They don't promote mold. Keeps your bugs safe. Once the insects are inside those envelopes, they go into this box and they stay in this box and they stay protected. That is critical. I don't want my insects getting beat up and kicked around in the back either. Very important. Okay? So let's get to the nuts and bolts because you're going to have to somehow catch insects, and a net is the best way to go. I love a small, compact net. These things are great for keeping around. They fit inside my go box. They're great. You can buy these commercially. They're probably only going to run you about 10 or 15 bucks in most cases. Very affordable. They have a nice sturdy ring, so if you're sweeping, if you're catching, I've even used these for aquatics already, and they still work great. Nice, long, deep net for scooping and for holding the insects in place. Good nets. Next is the upgrade. This is a tropics net. These are the Ferrari of nets, and I love these nets. The cool thing about a tropics net, 18 inches of cool bug catching fun. They're made for travel. Lightweight aluminum and a nice sturdy ring means you can cut through the brush to get to insects. The coolest part about these nets is the fact that they break down, and they break down a lot. You can put these nets straight into a carry-on. Okay, so the questions are going to come in, and you're going to be wondering, where do I get my net? Because whether you appreciate a small, affordable $20 net, or whether you want to go with the Ferrari Tropics net, that's going to run you probably 50 bucks. These things are easily gettable. You can just go to BioQuip and get them through BioQuip. My box is filled with BioQuip. I love that company. Everything I need is there. All right, we're still working on what we're bringing into the field. Look, we got a lot of stuff already, but there's some things that are literally essential. And the first thing you better do, you better understand and know where you are. I like to use notepads to keep records, because if I'm going to be sorting bugs and putting insects different places, it's good to have that record down. I write it down, tear it off, keep it with those insects. It travels with those insects. Never a problem remembering where things were collected. Another thing, you can go with maps. I'm pretty old school. I still like a good hard copy map. Whether it's a BLM land, whether it's a county park, whether it's a state park. You have to be careful though, because there's a lot of places you cannot go. So make sure you're knocking on doors, make sure you're making phone calls, get the permission to go those places. But maps are still a good, viable way to travel and to explore and to get into areas that you may have never been into. Okay, so look, you're going to be out in the field, you're going to run into big insects, whether it's big beetles or big moths. You're going to run into these things. You can't put those things into a little killing jar. They're going to crawl around in there for about an hour, and they're not going to die. So you have to have a system. I like to use a syringe. Very, very simple. You can get these through the vets. You can get these through livestock owners. You can also get these. They're used for insulin. Talk to your doctor. Use your resources. Sometimes you'll get people that will give these to you. Other times, you can have to buy these. Very affordable, no problems. As long as they're going to hold rubbing alcohol, you can inject that into the insects. And that is a great way to do it, because you're going to take those larger insects, and that is instant death. They're not going to suffer. There's going to be no problems. And the best thing, these things pack in and out with no problem at all. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that entomologists are the most gadget-minded people in the world. We love to have our little tools and our little things. I like to keep just a little bottle full of rubbing alcohol around. Sometimes I'll place insects directly into that. Other times, if I want to cut some out of there and use it in smaller vials for different reasons. Sometimes I collect caterpillars. Sometimes I'm collecting soft-bodied little bugs. Either way, you can't put those things into kill jars. You need to have somewhere to go with them. So having something like this handy is probably a good idea as well. Next, let's talk about live bugs. Look, we don't always want to kill everything. Okay, a lot of times I like to bring things back either to the studio and get some footage and get some film and use it in programs. Other times I want to raise those things. Caterpillars, things like that. You can go as simple as a little plastic peanut butter jar. You can go larger containment, always plastic. You can even go as simple as Ziploc bags. These work great. You can put food, plant, and bugs into these things, and they work awesome. Super compact. Put them in your pocket, carry them with you. They don't take up space in your pack. And best of all, they get the job done when you need it. Okay, so let's get to technology, because technology today is pretty awesome. And you can find out just about everything you need to know online. The phone apps are where people are going today. I don't use these a lot, but I'm learning to use them a lot more often. So I'm still learning as I go. Onyx is a really cool phone app. And you can go straight in and you can find everything you need as far as land ownership and boundary lines. You can tell what's private, what's state, all the stuff you probably need to know by knocking on doors. You can find out by going on phone apps. I still recommend you bang on a few doors and you get permission before stepping onto people's property, because they may get offended by strangers doing that. But the technology is there and it's readily available. Now, if you're worried because you're not going to have Wi-Fi, you can use those apps offline as well. You can also download everything from screenshots to the app itself to where that information is still there and you can run it without even needing the Wi-Fi to do so. So look, if you're not really comfortable with the Wi-Fi and you're worried about that kind of stuff, I get it. I'm still there. But you can do something before you leave on your trip. You can look up county records and you can find out who owns particular parcels around where you think you're going to be going in. Therefore, that would give you not only the ownership and the boundaries, but it will also put you in touch with people that own those, so you can make those phone calls and possibly knock on doors and know who you're talking to in advance. So let's go to some just plain gadgets that I enjoy having around. I like to have a good set of binoculars. And look, man, you don't need a big old set of battleship binoculars. We're looking at bugs and insects. You just need something that's going to get the job done. Maybe a good pair of 10 by 26s. That's probably the way to go. I like them compact. I can either wear it or I can put it in a box or I can even put it in my collecting pack. These things go where I need them to go. And the cool part is I can recon a small patch of milkweed or something without getting out of the vehicle most times. I can actually scan that and see what's waiting there for me. A last thing that I think everybody should have is a flashlight. And you can go small and compact, and that's good. They're making some really good flashlights, super bright lights that get the job done. You may not be doing all your bug catching in the daytime. You're going to need a light, and you're going to need to look around. So find yourself something that works for you. Doesn't have to be big and huge. Something that's going to pack in, something that's going to work nice and compact. Okay, so you're all set up, you're ready to go. You got the equipment you need, you know what bugs you're probably going after and which ones you're hoping to find, and that's a good thing. The next thing you have to consider is, look, even if you're running with an old county mat, that is not going to tell you whether or not you still are allowed to be there. It's going to help you not getting lost, but that's about it. You're going to have to check. You're going to have to really look into your local and state laws because, look, national parks are off limits. Unless you're affiliated with something really big and special, you're probably not going to be catching insects in a national park. Most states with public access points, BLM land, even county and state parks, easy access. The county and state parks, you're going to still need permission. You're probably going to need a permit to go into those areas, but it's always worth it to get into those kind of habitats. So I love getting special access into state and county parks. The BLM land and the state and national forest are usually free and open. You can go in there, you can camp, and you can certainly collect bugs and insects anytime you want. I love those places. Good habitat. Just about all throughout the country, you can find points like that. Now, a couple things to think about. Some states have game lands that you're going to need a permit. You need to get access. Make the phone calls, check the law, make sure you're not breaking the law by going there. Even in Pennsylvania where I live, I need a fishing license to go collect aquatic insects. So if I'm searching for dragonflies and I'm pegging dragonflies, I need my fishing license in order to do that. They can be that picky. You have to do some research. You have to know whether you're allowed to be there or you're not. And don't break those laws.